All right, guys, I am going to go over 4 different ways to do long division. We have done 2 of them, and you should have seen the third one in iReady. And then the fourth one is not something you're going to see in iReady, but it makes things a whole lot quicker and easier if you prefer to do that one. You can choose whichever method works best for you, but you need to be familiar with all of these. So the first one we're looking at is that area model. And this one you should be very familiar with at this point. This is not the first video that you have seen. So we are going to do the problem 300, let's get that a little bit darker. We're going to do 371 divided by 4 in every single one of these. So for this one, for an area model, remember you always start with your rectangle. We know that the area is the number of square units inside, and so in this case we already know how many square units are inside. There are 371, so we're going to decompose that 371. And our divisor is 4. So we are seeing how many times 4 goes into 371, or how many groups of 4. So I start out looking at the 4 and the 300. I have no idea how many times 4 goes into 300, but I do know that 4 goes into 30 7 times. So I can think 7 tens, and 4 goes into 370 times. I know that 4 times 7 is 28, so I know that 4 times 70 is 280. And then I'm going to subtract to find the difference. 300 minus 280 is 20. Now remember, I cannot keep any numbers in this column, so I have to take my 20 over here and add it to the 70 that's already there. And now I have 90. And when I have that 90, remember our little sequence here. When I have the 90, I say how many times does 4 go into 9? Well, it goes in there 2 times. And again, since this is tens, it's going in there 2 tens, or 20 times. 20 times 4 is 80. And then when I subtract, I have 10. And again, I can't leave anything in here. So I need to take the 10 and add it to the 1 over here in the ones column. So now I have 11 ones. And I always ask myself then, how many times does 4 go into 11? Goes in there twice. 2 times 4 is 8. 11 minus 8 is 3. And before I assume that I'm right, before I go ahead and make this a remainder, I have to say, can I get any groups of 4 to fit into the 3? And I can't, keeping it whole numbers. That would turn it into a fraction or a decimal. So that tells me now I add my partial quotients. 70 plus 20 is 90, plus 2 more is 92. And then I bring the 3 up and turn it into a remainder. So 92 remainder 3. Again, this is the area model. Put this in your notebook, rewind it, come back, do what you need to do. Our second model we're going to look at is a place value model. It's still an area model. But this one's a little bit different. This one, it might seem easier, but it's a little more difficult because you actually have to remember the place value. So we're still doing the same problem of 371 divided by 4. Only this time, we're just taking the 3, the 7, and the 1. Now we're still actually doing it the same way we did it a second ago, except this time we're remembering that these are hundreds, tens, and ones. And then of course we're dividing by 4. So the first thing I do is I say, can 4 go into 3? Or how many times can 4 go into 3? And we know 4 doesn't go evenly into 3. It would be a fraction. So I say it goes 0 times. I'm still following that same sequence. 0 times 4 is a 0, and I get an answer of 3 when I subtract. Here's the big difference. This 3 is in the hundreds column. So I'm going to take those 300s and move it over here to the tens so that now I have 37 tens. I still have that 371. I'm just looking at it differently. So 37 tens tells me I start back with my division and I say how many times is 4 going to 37? Well, I know that 4 times 9 is 36. I subtract and I have 110 left over. And just like last time, I have to remember this is a 10, so I'm going to just bring it over here and make that 10 plus 1 1. So now I have 11 ones. And I say, how many times does that 4 go into 11? Well, it goes in there twice. 2 times 4 is 8. 11 minus 8 is 3. And just like last time, I don't want to assume yet that the 3 is a remainder, so I need to make sure 4 cannot fit into 3 anymore, and it can't. So my answer is 92, remainder 3. Same answer as last time, just a little bit of a different use of our area model. The next one we're going to look at is a partial products model. And you should have seen this one. Sorry, I'm not getting comfortable here. You should have seen this one all over already if you've been doing work that was due, or it was assigned 2 weeks ago. And I said partial products, didn't I? Partial quotients, sorry. Partial quotients model. And this one is going to look like the model that Mom and Dad used because it's got the bracket. So we're putting the 371 inside, and we're putting our divisor of 4 on the outside. And this one, we're going to start out with that 3. Can I put 4 into 3, or how many groups of 4 fit into 3? Well, again, it's 0. And then I'm going to kind of expand that and just make this 37 since that was 0. I'm going to say how many times does 4 go into 37? And I know 4 goes into 36 9 times. So 4 goes into 37, or 371, 90 times. 90 times 4 is 360. And when I subtract, I get 11. And again, that sequence is never going to change. We always divide, multiply, subtract, and bring somewhere. So I just brought my 11 down, so that tells me I'm going to come back up and divide. How many times does 4 go into 11? Well, it goes in there twice. 2 times 4 is 8. I subtract, I get a 3, and then I bring somewhere. There's nothing left to bring down with a 3, so my 3 comes up. I add these two partial quotients. 90 plus 2 is 92, and then I take that leftover, or that remainder of 3. And again, this is the partial quotients method. And you're going to see that one a lot in iReady. The last one we're going to look at, you're not going to see anywhere as far as testing, but it's a nice method, especially if this is confusing at all. It's called sticks and stones. So it's a really good one to check your work, or if the only thing you need to do is provide an answer, sticks and stones might be the model for you. So we're still doing our 371 divided by 4, and we'll also set this one up in our bracket. Whoops, sorry. This time, though, we're going to use sticks and we're going to use stones. So sticks are just what they look like. It's a stick, and every stick on this one is equal to our divisor. So sticks are always going to be equal to 4. And then stones are just leftovers, or you can think of them as remainders. So the first thing I'm going to do is what I've been doing. I'm going to ask myself, can I get a group of 4 to fit into 3? How many times does 4 fit into 3? And since it doesn't, then I just go over 1, and I'm now looking at 37. and I say, can 4 go into 37? And it can. 4 goes into 37 9 times. So I'm going to actually, right underneath it, every time I can do a 4, I draw a line. So there's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36. And then I still have one more to go to 37, so I put that extra one as a stone. And I don't want to call it a 1 because they're not always going to be in a ones column. So right now I'm just calling it a stone. And since I have one stone, I'm going to put the 1 here as one stone, and then I've got this one here to add to it. So now I've got 11 ones, and I do the same thing. I ask myself, can 4 go into 11? And I know it goes in there twice. So there's 4, and there's 8, and then 9, 10, 11. And since there's nothing else here to bring down, now I can look and I can count all of my sticks first. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sticks. And here I have 2 more sticks. And then I have the 3 stones that I haven't used yet. Those become the remainders. So sticks and stones, it's a good way to check your answer. It's a good way to divide if the only thing you need to show is an answer. It's not going to be one of the models you're going to see on a test or in a math book or anything. Again, stop, rewind, copy the problems in your notebook, be familiar with them. The first 2, area model and the first and the third. Area model and partial products are what you are going to see more than anything, but this gives you 4 new tools to use when it doesn't specify a method. So if the only thing you have to do is divide, choose which method works best for you.